What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Today we have Bitcoin sitting at $58,641 and is poised for a breakout. We also have the stock market rallying higher here this morning with the SPY sitting at 556 and the Qs at 476. So will we get the gap fill here on the Qs? Is that in store today or in this week? Or are we going to reject from this level and sell off? We will get into all that in today's video where we will discuss stocks, commodities, and crypto um, as we have stocks pausing at these levels and wondering if we will go higher. And we'll take a look at where we can look to outperform and make money in these markets in the coming days and weeks ahead. So if that sounds good to you, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe if you want to see more. And let's get into the video. So first off, I want to discuss NVIDIA here sitting at 127. We got the gap fill here on NVIDIA. So we were wondering if we were going to go up and close this gap, and we got it. Of course, we left many gaps behind back here, so there is the possibility that we could come back down to some of these levels and retest them in the coming days and weeks. We also have SMCI sitting at 621. We haven't filled the gap here yet for SMCI, so it looks like there is the possibility that this stock could potentially go up here and close this gap before moving lower. I think that is a real possibility. We also have another gap fill up here at 875. And if we just take a look at this chart on the weekly, well, you can see here that the stochastic RSI is at the bottom side of the range. And so it does look like there is the potential for this stock to move higher in the coming days and weeks. So that is something to keep in mind. What other markets are doing well? Well, we have the HSI putting in a third higher low here on the weekly chart. So the Chinese market is finding some strength here in the last few days and couple of weeks. We really could update this chart now. This was the original trend line that we had when we had confirmed that we were breaking out of this downward sloping trend and put in a second higher low. But now we can make this trend look something more like this. Now we've got a little bit more data here for the Chinese stock market. Of course, we know China is going to be stimulating after this sell-off that they have had over the past couple of years. A lot of these stocks are down big time, and so it does look like the China market is making a turn and could go higher. What else can we take a look at? Well, gold has really been strong here, setting new all-time highs just the end of last week. And we have copper putting in this base here. It looks like copper may have found a bottom for now. And so I do suspect that we may see copper start to go higher. If we zoom out on this chart, copper has sold off here quite a bit, and we went down into our 781. So this is a unusual area to normally get a pullback quite this far. But if you ever do, typically if you do find bottoms there, then that tends to mark the low. And we're holding the 618. And so it looks like copper may be putting in a base at these levels. And this pattern kind of repeats on a lot of these charts. There is the potential that we may be forming an inverse head and shoulders here for copper. So we'll look out for that. If that's the case, well, we could see copper go much higher. So if that does happen, I will be sure to update you on that. Let's go back to the stock market and discuss what's going on. As we mentioned, there are several gaps here over the past uh, few days that I think we need to keep an eye on. So we have this gap down here of around 534 and then another one around 543. So I would mark those levels out. I'll go ahead and just go ahead and add a notification here for this area, for these areas, because they are likely to get filled. So that's something to keep in mind. And we do have a gap higher up that may be filled. So will we go up and close that gap before moving lower? Well, we will have to see what the price action does. Right now, we are in positive gamma, and the markets are looking pretty bullish here. However, I do think that it would be healthy for the market to get a pullback down to one of these lower levels here before moving higher and potentially put in a big inverse head and shoulders here for the SPY. Um, there's some other stocks we can take a look at as well. Some of these small cap stocks such as Coinbase. Coinbase sitting at 201. And one thing I wanted to point out on this chart is that if we go over here to the weekly, well, you will see we are getting ready to put in another golden cross here on Coinbase. And you can see that each time you have these golden crosses, you tend to get these pumps. So that's something to keep in mind. If we just mark those out, you see each time you tend to get those pumps. And back here earlier this year when Bitcoin was really starting to take off, well, that's where you saw these massive pumps. And we can just take a measurement on a couple of these. This one here from the beginning of the year through March into April was 136%. And a couple of these other ones, although they were less, they were still very significant. We had this one here, 35%. So you can see that a lot of these moves here, when we get this golden cross, are significant. Another stock we could take a look at is Mara. This is one of the Bitcoin miners. The miners have been beaten down here quite a bit since the halving due to the reduction in profitability. That's just their business model. So obviously, every 4 years when we have the halving for these Bitcoin miners, well, basically, their revenues get cut in half. So that's something to keep in mind. Nevertheless, we're just starting to tick up here on the RSIs on the daily. So I do suspect that Mara will go higher. Can we get back up to this trend line and break through that? Well, we will have to see. But there could be a little resistance right around that area. Mara currently sitting at 61 or 1631 rather, and we might find a little resistance up here around $19. But if we can get through that area and reclaim this area, well, I think that's going to be really good for a lot of these crypto related assets. If you're interested in buying stocks, commodities, or crypto, you can do so with Robinhood. Right now, Robinhood offers a 1% boost and 8 times the national savings rate, and they allow you to begin building your portfolio with just as little as $1. They allow you to uh, buy, sell, and trade stocks, options, ETFs at your own pace and commission free. Plus, they have cryptos such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Doge, and gold. So if you're interested, there is a link down in the description below. Yes, it is a referral link, so I do appreciate it. Um, but what I like about Robinhood is they allow you to buy fractional shares of stocks. So if a stock is, say, uh, $500, well, you can own a fraction of that stock with the money that you have. All right, guys, let's get into Bitcoin and crypto and discuss what is going on there. First off, I want to bring up the heat liquidation map for Bitcoin. And you see here, this is on the weekly that we have these orders setting up here around $60,500. So it looks like our next move will most likely be to the upside here in the coming days. And if we go back to the Bitcoin chart, where you see here, we are just consolidating. And so whichever way this does break, probably will be a pretty big move. Um, will that be to the up or the downside? Well, it's kind of hard to say, but I will say what um, we've seen in the past here is that Bitcoin tends to move and it follows the stock market. So the stock market has been very strong here recently. And from what I see, the stock market kind of leads the way. And although Bitcoin can be a leading indicator, but whenever all these stocks are doing really well, that tends to suck a little bit of the liquidity out of uh, the Bitcoin and crypto. And then maybe if we do see a pullback in the stock market, well, then that's typically when you see a Bitcoin rally in these bull runs. So that is something to keep in mind. So there is the possibility that we go back up and retest this $63,000 level. And if we can get above that and hold there and find support, well, I think we will probably go retest those all-time highs and see where we go from there. There is possibility that it rejects at that level, but nevertheless, I still think we are much higher for Bitcoin later this year. If we do fall out of this zone, well, then I would have to say that we would have to look at potentially going back down to this $52,000 area. We had this big wick here, and a lot of times the markets like to go and fill that inefficiency, which is typically somewhere around halfway through this wick, and that could be down around $51,500. So that is something to keep in mind in the coming days. But nevertheless, I still think Bitcoin goes higher here in the coming weeks and months. I think we are running out of time here, and this is probably the last chance to get in on Bitcoin and crypto as we move into the fall. And we know that fall is typically bullish for crypto. Right now, we have the Bitcoin dominance in this ascending wedge pattern here. And so we are looking to see if the Bitcoin dominance gets rejected at this area, then that's when you're going to start to see these altcoins really start to run. This is getting quite high here now, sitting right around 57%. So there is possibility that we go back up a little bit more here and reject off this area. We know this is a critical area for the Bitcoin dominance because once we see these rejections, well, that's when it is full on altcoin season. and I think that's coming up here pretty soon. I think you're really going to start to see some of these altcoins really outperform. So that is something to keep in mind. And here is the total three. So this is the everything except for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I'm just going to put a couple of these lines back on the chart here. Um, but yeah, I drew this morning to show you here what we are seeing with Bitcoin and crypto. It's pretty similar overall. We have this triangle here that we just see the range getting tighter and tighter, and this kind of acts as a spring. So once this is let go, then you see that spring to the upside or the downside, depending on which way this breaks. So that is something to keep in mind for the crypto traders and investors. However, nevertheless, I still think that um, this is probably what we are seeing. We know that we've had strength coming into this, and most likely that we probably are going to break to the upside. So that could be at any moment now. I will say that if Bitcoin does break to the upside here in the coming days, if we see a little bit of weakness in the stock market, um, well, the altcoins should move with it. And which altcoins would I be looking at? Well, I think the best option is obviously Solana. Solana sitting at 144. And if you see here, this is the weekly chart. We do have this golden cross coming in for Solana. So similar to what we saw with the Coinbase and Mara charts, we uh, believe that there is a big move coming very soon, and most likely it is to the upside because we do have these RSIs at the bottom side on the stochastic, and so that is also something to keep in mind. If you're interested in buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, or many more cryptos, you can do so with iTrust Capital. I use iTrust Capital, and iTrust Capital allows you to buy and sell and trade crypto, gold, and silver 24/7 in a low cost and no monthly fee account. And this is a tax advantage IRA. So whenever you are investing or trading, you will be taxed on your capital gains. So this is a good way to get exposure to the crypto markets. And whenever you make those gains, avoid the taxes until retirement. If you're interested, there is a link below, and iTrust Capital also has over 5,000 plus five-star reviews on Google. What I really liked about iTrust is they actually have people that you can call and talk to when setting up your account. All right, guys, it is Monday, a new week. I hope everyone had a great weekend. A couple things to keep an eye on moving forward. We have the Fed Powell speaking this week at the Jackson Hole um, conference. So that will be something that the markets will really be looking at. That will be probably the biggest thing this week. And we also have some more earnings coming up, including NVIDIA. I think that's going to be the big one. I think it will be all eyes on NVIDIA to see if this stock market rally will continue. I think that it is likely with what we are seeing. However, there is some key data that we need to keep an eye on. So don't forget to go follow me over here on X at Mind of Financier. I am Mind of the Financier on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. So you can follow me there as well. But I post over here on X anything that I see that has to do with the stock market, including uh, commodities, and crypto. All right, guys, take care. Until next time, be legendary and